It's good day. Barak here from Barak Bogots Farm as usual. I hope you guys are doing well wherever you're watching me from. I'm in a very nice place today as usual. Nature is my life, I think you can see the views. It's pretty dry right here in Australia where we are right now in Queensland. But it's pretty cool as well there's really nice nature down here, as you can see. So I get a lot of questions. People tend to ask me how I came to Australia, how long I've been in Australia, those sorts of questions, right? And I think today I want to talk a few things about that. So I've lived almost half of my life in Australia now. And all these years I've been trying to be a very law-abiding citizen, paying my taxes, paying my bills, making sure that I respect the system that is around me, because here in these countries of Australia here, and America and Canada, like European system basically, or the Western system in general, it's very easy to mess up in the system and then end up regretting for the rest of your life. Just a very small mistake can actually affect your entire life, And so what you find is, for all these years that I've lived down here, I've been working and sleeping, going to work, going home and sleep, go to work, go home and sleep, But the reality is, even when you work a lot of hours or have so much work to do, or you make so much money, the system here is designed to keep the money here. In other words, it doesn't even just keep here. The money it flows back into the system. So in a way, we're here to make sure that we keep the system here going. You make all the money, you pay your taxes, you pay your bills, you pay your fines, you pay everything. And at the end of the day, you're left with nothing left on your account. That's how the system works here. And then you have fines, and then you have this and that, especially if you're being a law citizen. It's like we're being punished. So what this means really is, you have people who are working almost all their whole life, but they're not really happy, and you don't even see the money itself. Meanwhile, back home in Africa, or whatever you guys might be watching from, people expect you to have so much money because you've been here almost like, say, 10 years or 15 years or 8 years, whatever. People have this kind of judgment. They're like, oh, so-and-so have been abroad for a certain amount of years, therefore he or she should be rich now. You should have so much money. Unfortunately, the way how life is in the Western world is not how people think it is. It's quite the other way around. Just because you've been here so many years doesn't make you rich. And so what you find is, you lose your identity in between. On one side you're not African, on the other side you're not Australian or American, and you're somewhere in between. You don't eat you're not in your country, you don't have your family members around you, you don't speak your language because you don't eat your culture food, and so you lose your identity. You lose your identity, you lose your money, you don't necessarily have the money, right? And also some of us has a lot of attachments back home, So I'm talking about family members, friends, relatives, those kind of things. Everyone needs support. Everyone expects you to support them while you're here. But meanwhile, while you're supporting them, you're also forgetting yourself, because we have so much responsibility down here. The rent here is crazy. It's as bad as anywhere, or even worse, And so I've been thinking about this whole time, and going like, what is life really all about, Those people, meanwhile, as I'm explaining this, there's someone in Africa, somewhere in any country in Africa, or even the Caribbeans or any developing countries, trying to jump on the boat so that they can go to Europe and make life there. At the same time, someone who is abroad already, who is in America, Canada, Australia, whatever, or Europe, Sweden, they are wondering how they should go back to their country. And some people in Africa, they're selling their house, they're selling their land so that they can get a visa to go and live abroad, Do you see the dynamics here, And so I think, and before you ask me why I'm not going back home, it's the same reasons. Someone is wondering, so what are you doing there then, once you've lived in a place for quite some time, it's not that easy to just wake up and just live, especially if you have other attachments. You've got family, you've got kids, you've got family, you've got, a whole bunch of stuff going on. And also, where you're going to start from there? Where you're going to start? If you go back home, you probably haven't been going as regular as you should. You don't have any life set up for you, Everything is very different. Now, some people get stuck here because there's good roads, good hospitals, I guess. There's a lot of nice services, I guess, in place. The customer service is great, But the truth is, we are not born to be sick and go to the hospitals that we think they're good. We are just born, or we're in this world to enjoy life as it is, as it should be. But it's not the case here. This life of going to work and go home and sleep, go to work, go home and sleep, and pay the bills and pay the rent and all that. It's not really what life is about. This is what a man has created, but it's not the purpose of God creating human beings, And so, thinking about this whole thing makes me question the idea of education, the kind of education we study. We spend almost, again, half of our life in school, primary school. Some people go to kindy and then high school and then university, blah, blah, right? Just finish your course and you've been taught how to be an employee, how to work for someone else. And that's never going to make you rich. There's not many people that I know that have become rich by working for someone else. Not many people. Unless if they have other deals that they're sort of getting through their jobs. They still have the small salary, right? And then they have other deals or they start other projects of their own. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is this, right? Money is an idea, okay? And every one of you guys has an idea. Everyone, at least, like, if you're watching this, I'm assuming by the time you are allowed to have a phone or you can afford to buy a phone, it means you are an adult, And so if you're an adult, it means you have an idea. And that idea is actually equivalent to money. The problem with our education is they are teaching us to be employees, and that's how they define success. But the reality is very, very different. Even if you're employed by somebody, you work for someone for quite some years, there's a chance you won't necessarily be successful in life, You have to start something. Start a business, start a second income or the third something, You can start with one thing, do it really like practice over and over again, right? Get good at it. And then from that thing, then you can start many other things. But this idea that we're going to go to school, study, and be employed by a certain company, and that's how we're going to be rich, I don't think that idea is very correct, We've been lied to for so many years, And sometimes you think and you question the system that we're in, the kind of education, and people pay so much money for the children to go to school. Just the children to finish, they don't even have those jobs that they're training people to do. Even you can't even find a company to employ you, on top of paying so much money and wasting your time. And so what we need is getting that idea that we have, but then also the bus that will drive you from moving it from being an idea into a business. And that, I think, for me is very, very important. So besides just having an idea, how can we move this idea into an actual business that is going to earn money for us? There has to be values attached to it, and it has to be something that is actually on demand or something that people need. In other words, someone said that look for a problem and create a solution for it. So that idea can be a solution to a problem. It can be goods, it can be services, it can be a product, it can be solving anything, because someone else is gonna be sitting there waiting for your what? For your service. So that's what I think. We should do. Yes, guys. So sorry, someone just called when I was just talking. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's forget about. I'm not saying that education is a bad thing to do. Okay, education. It's good to know how to read. Good to know how to write. Good to know about the surroundings. But we can even choose one specific thing and really be good at it, and then that thing will actually help us to make a better life than someone who is just studying and it just never ends. So that's the end of it, guys. I just want to share my thoughts with you guys, and I hope that you found it helpful. But above all, we need to support each other. Jealous is a very bad thing. we cannot get anywhere if we don't support one another, you know. If you think your friend shouldn't flourish or shouldn't achieve anything in life, and your job is really to make sure that that person fails, see someone struggling or suffering, I think that's a bad thing to do, you know. So even if you cannot, you know, even if I can't help someone, at least I should be the person wishing them to fail in life, because their failure is not going to benefit me in any way, you know. And so for a lot of Africans, not, again, just get me correct, this is not all Africans, but most people in Africa, specifically in Uganda where I come from, most people like to see other people fail. They celebrate people's failures, you know, as if someone fails, they're gonna achieve something, you know. So usually I don't have so much time to think about other people's failures, because I'm so busy thinking about how can I improve myself as a person. If there's one thing that we can do, there's so many things we could be doing, but even if it just means improving myself, improving my skills, improving my communication skills, doing a course, you know, starting up a small business, that's something that I really need to be doing rather than worrying about someone else's business. You know, like some people just need to know each and everybody's business. What did you eat? You know, which car you're driving, where you from, you know, I mean, if it's for good reason, that makes sense, you know. But if it's just for you, so some people like gossiping, just going around gossiping all day long as if it's a job, you know. And we have to move away from that kind. We need to be producers, we need to be manufacturers, you know, and move away from this idea that Western education, because for so many years we've been lied to. The kind of education we have in Africa does not work for us, you know. It does not give us the solutions that we need, and the solutions we need should be tailored to the problems we have in Africa. I think that's my advice. This kind of education is not serving us right, and it's just a wastage of our time. So guys, with those few words, please allow me to sign off for now, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.